Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back once more to the JoyPad podcast, which I said appropriately and swiftly for once in the duration of this shortly lived podcast so far. My name is Tom. I am with you as always with my three favorite co hosts, Mike, Megan, and Pinto. And Mike, the one, is Mike Fleming. Sometimes we just call him Mike. Sometimes we just call Pinto Mike. It gets thrown around sometimes. They're both named Mike, in case you didn't know. Today, we're going to be discussing a topic of my choosing, which I will get to as we cycle back around. But first, we will discuss the games we're playing and the beverages we are consuming. So, being that I am the topic owner today, I will start off with Mr. Mike Fleming and ask you, what beverages are you consuming? What games are you consuming?
I'm drinking Lancaster County's finest of water. I forgot to grab a beverage tonight, so I do not have any beverage beyond this water, but it's delicious, so that's good. In terms of what I'm playing, nothing new from my ordinary stuff recently. I have been watching some StarCraft again, specifically on the Esports Night YouTube channel. They have been putting on a race war between Protoss, Terran, and Zerg, of course. Everyone in there is Korean, so we're good on that end. But it's all the Terrans versus the Protoss versus the Zerg. It seems like if they're doing, I've only watched the first night. It's I believe a 3-night event. There might be more. That's the ones that are posted so far in the past week. And it seems like they're doing, one of each of those races per night. It's pretty cool. So it's gonna be a little old when people listen to this video, but if you didn't watch it, go look for the Esports Night. I've been enjoying it. It has Tasteless and Artosis, two of the most famous StarCraft commentators that have been in the, in that scene for 20 years now. So definitely enjoying that. That's enough about me. I'm going to pass it off to the other Mike. Mike, how you doing? What are you playing? And what are you drinking?
Real quick, is it StarCraft 2 or is it Brood War?
Oh, it is Brood War, my friend.
Ooh, okay,
The first night included, and for the StarCraft fans, if we have any that are listening, but Pinto, I'm hoping that you'll start to show excitement. It is Sulky, Bisu, and Light in the first night.
Wow.
Yeah, and they all obviously play each other. I won't ruin any of the games or spoil any of the games, but the first game is, I think, 30 minutes, 35 minutes, and the second game is I think every game was about 30 minutes, if not a little longer. So really good games. Highly recommend you watch them if you're interested at all in StarCraft. So anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I've also been watching StarCraft. But first, I'm drinking Susquehanna Brewing Company's Orange is the New Ale. It is a blood orange ale. It's actually really good. And
it's a
also,
long way to go to make a pun.
I know. Orange is the new ale. I know. And also, of course, I'm drinking the most delicious water straight from the kitchen tap because got to keep hydrated. And in terms of games, I've been doing that XCOM Chimera Squad, and I also recently bought a game called Frostpunk that my sister has been telling me to get for a year. It's interesting. It's kind of like a survival game, but it's also weirdly RTS like. It's about the world has been taken over by a new ice age, so you're trying to keep people alive and you have to go gather resources and it's like a survival RTS kind of. I haven't played it very much, only like half an hour, but I'm pretty sure it's multiplayer. I don't know if any of you guys are interested. It's on sale this week. And by the time you hear this, I'm sure it won't be on sale anymore, listeners. I apologize. But if you guys are interested in checking that out, I think it's like $12. And
cool.
I'm interested in getting into it more. I just haven't really had the time. And of course, Stardew Valley. But yeah.
Every week.
I thought you were over Stardew Valley. I thought that was the last time we recorded.
But the thing is, it's the perfect game to play when you're like watching something, which I've been watching also a lot of StarCraft. I've been watching the Team Liquid Star League 5. So it's just a perfect game that you can just kind of, not really have to pay attention to, but occupy yourself with.
Listen, Pinto can quit anytime he wants.
Yeah,
Just
that's
doesn't
right.
want to.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that.
What do you? So you've played, like you said, 500 hours, which
Yes.
based on my 50 hours, and we're on our second farm, means you've probably played a good dozen or so farms, if I had to guess.
Maybe like 10. You're
Okay.
not
I'm
you're not
close.
far off.
I'm close. So my question for you is, since you mention it literally every single week, how do you keep a game like that exciting?
I just start over once I like
Oh, like,
kind
you
of
switch
do
up
everything.
the characters you're trying to marry and stuff?
Yep. Stuff like that. And you also have to consider that when you play multiplayer, the game moves a lot faster.
That is true too.
You make money so much faster and things like that. I'm just going to take my glasses off because they keep fogging up. Yeah.
Cool.
Megan, it's your turn.
Yo,
Are you
it's my
you down in that delicious Wegmans purified water tonight?
no, I switched it up this week, and I have an unsweetened pure leaf black tea
Delicious.
because nothing is quite as nice as grass water. But yeah, that's what I'm drinking. And as for games, I am playing Borderlands 3, and I got back on the Animal Crossing bus, so I've been playing that now that a new month started, so I can get my sharks and my new fish and my new bugs. So yeah, that's my gaming life right now. And as of right now, The Last of Us 2 hasn't released, so I can't talk about that.
But when it comes out, oh boy.
Then it's going to be the Final Fantasy VII remake
will.
of this podcast for that portion.
All over again.
So I have to ask, you said you're playing Borderlands 3. Is this your first experience with Borderlands 3, or have you played the
No,
game?
I've played the prior games as well.
Okay, but it's your first time playing the third.
Oh, 3. Yes, sorry.
Cool.
Yeah.
I played a little bit of Borderlands 2, and it was okay. I didn't. My friends told me, like, oh, you like Counter-Strike, you're gonna like it. And I was like, it's not
the same.
It's not the kind of same style of game,
No.
So
yeah, it was cheap, and it's fun. Like, it's not my favorite, you know, but I like it.
So I played a bit of the first one not long ago, and I had a similar experience to, I think, what Fleming was describing, and probably to what you're describing, Megan, where it's like, it's okay, it's not bad.
Yeah.
Like, I appreciate the humor that they try to work into it, and it's kind of, it's almost like some sort of intermediary between like a Fallout game and like a Destiny game.
Yeah.
Where it's a first-person shooter, but people can take 8,000 hits.
Yeah, I mean, to like Duke Nukem.
Yeah, I was thinking.
Definitely.
I was thinking Duke Nukem Doom, almost somewhere in that area for me. When I played it, it was okay. And I also will add, I only ever played with friends who told me to play.
Okay.
It's a multiplayer. Play with us. I was like, okay, and we tried it out. It was fine, but like they told me, we're going here now. We're doing this next. Like I didn't ever engage in a story or anything. It was just play with friends.
This is
So
what you're doing. Yeah.
yeah, it was okay. I mean, I wouldn't say it was a bad game, and for what, $10, $20 maybe, it's okay. But I don't know. It's not a game that I got
lot.
into it.
You get a lot for $10 because it's a
Yeah.
pretty big world. It's a pretty. Big
I would agree with that. Yeah, you definitely get a lot for that.
Yeah, and I think I'm pretty sure PlayStation. I don't know if it was 1 and 2 that were free.
yeah.
Like maybe before
That's
the
how I
third
got it.
game came out. Yeah, and
Yeah.
they gave you pretty much everything with it. So, but yeah, like for a series, it's like I'm not gonna go run out and get it on release day. But when it's on sale, like I'll pick it up, or obviously if it's free, why not download it? It's fun. It's something to waste time and keep busy if you're bored.
How many Borderlands fans do you think we just offended?
All one of them.
Everyone.
There's a lot of people that
there
love
there
that
are a
game.
lot. Of people that
Yeah.
there are a lot of people that love Borderlands, and actually, again, I can look at my Steam right now. I probably played like, 20 hours tops of it.
Yeah.
I played 4 hours. Like I played nothing, in reality. I'm sure there's a lot more of that world and enjoyment. And the other thing too is like I was playing with a group of people that like primarily played Counter-Strike, and it was fine. It was something to do, but if we had our full 5 team, we're going to play Counter-Strike, we're not going to play Borderlands. So that's the other thing too, that kind of, if I was just trying to find a game like Megan is to kill time, maybe it'd be a different story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sorry, Borderlands fans.
Yeah, it's not you, it's us.
I've never even played a Borderlands game, so I can't, you know.
It's not a bad game. We're not hating
No,
on
it's
it.
really not. It really isn't.
The only reason I played Destiny is because it came with my PlayStation 4 and
Oh,
I got to
yeah.
play it with Megan. And I remember nothing about that game except Peter Dinklage, and he's not even the voice of the
It's
ghost
not
anymore.
anymore, yeah.
That's the exact thing I remember about Destiny, because I also got the white PS4 edition.
Speaking of
I got
games
really
we're
into
playing,
it.
though, speaking of games that we're playing, though, I want to jump in really quick because the four of us have talked about playing Diablo, and we
Oh,
talked
It's
yeah.
gonna
about that.
happen.
We talked about that
Eventually.
like 5 weeks ago, and we still have not started at this point.
Maybe this
hopefully by the
weekend.
time...
All right,
Yes,
here.
That's what I'm
Here-
saying.
Here's what I'll do.
Oh,
While we're recording this, I'll buy it on Steam.
I was just about to say she's going right now. It's not Steam, it's Blizzard.
Oh, I'm sorry, Blizzard.
That's commitment.
But
She's like, on
I'll
Steam,
make
I
it
can't
work,
find
damn
but the
it.
spirit
Darn it.
the spirit is there, so that's the important part.
Make sure you get the expansion pack. In order
I
to
mean,
give Blizzard
Fleming doesn't
maximum
own
money,
it.
'cause we're
Yeah.
all playing it.
Fleming doesn't own it either, so
I'll have you know, I don't actually own it. I meant to purchase and I did not purchase it.
I believe your exact words were, "I don't want to pay $20 for that."
Yeah, I. Wait a
Well,
minute.
Megan is live
now?
purchasing this game.
I
Hold on.
am.
That's
Fleming
right.
is the one who came at her for not,
Yeah, seriously.
not committing to the game and does not own
I,
I-
game in question.
is there 2 expansions now
No.
for?
No, there's
Diablo
only what is it, Reaper of Souls or something like that?
and
Something
Rise of the-
super
and
like
Rise of the
edgelord.
Necromancer.
Oh.
I actually opened it up and I just found Reaper of Souls, which we talked about playing, and
Right.
Rise of the Necromancer.
Is that a thing? Crap! Now I have to open my Blizzard launcher.
I think that might just be I want to say it might just be a character expansion. Also, I am now opening my Blizzard launcher as well.
But while we're opening our Blizzard launchers, Tom, what have you been playing and what are you drinking?
Oh yeah, let's talk about you.
Let's just like every other podcast episode. No. I am drinking a Rain Total Body Fuel Orange Dreamsicle because
That
I am
actually
a sleepy
sounds
man.
good. I like anything that's dreamsicle, so
I do too. Anything like orange cream, delicious. But yeah, I'm a sleepy boy because I'm doing a lot of work today, and I'm going back to work as soon as we're done recording here. So, and I'm also drinking some fine H2O that came out of my refrigerator filter. So it's one step past the tap.
Very
I
nice.
should market that as like the name of the water and just bottle and sell it. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Did you actually? It's total tangent. Did you know that there's actually people that bottle New York City water and sell it? It's
is
actually a thing.
it for
Yeah.
pizza purposes though? Because people say that's what makes New York
I've
pizza
heard
so
that,
good.
and
It's
Sure.
the
I
water.
imagine someone's doing that, but I've heard that
bagels.
someone bottled New York City water to sell it because apparently it has a taste.
I've heard that particular fact, but only because I've heard it from you before.
It was probably when we were in New York, and I'm just like, "Hey
Yes.
guys, do you know?" Oh,
was
well,
when we
for
went
all
to
of
New
our
York
fans who never
Comic-Con.
knew that, there are people that bottled it. I think they may have even had like a lawsuit over it too. I don't know. There's something fun out of this topic. I want to jump back in because I did look up the Rise of the Necromancer. Tom, it looks like you're right. It seems like it gives you a new hero class, which I thought a Necromancer was a hero class, but
not
it adds
not
that.
in 3.
Okay, well, it adds that. It adds some character slots, some stash tabs, and a few looks like monsters or heroes or something you can like partners almost you can get. A couple different pendants and items and stuff. Doesn't look like that's necessary for the game. So we'll be playing at some point as an announcement the Reaper of Souls expansion, as well as obviously the original. That'll be up on YouTube at some point. Hopefully by the time we're talking about it here comes up and you listen to this episode,
You'll
we'll
be like,
playing
"Hey, I watched that."
yeah, hey, I already watched the first 4 episodes of that. Yeah, we're gonna be working really hard on that stuff. So pretty exciting stuff coming up.
But back to City Water. Actually, I think what you were talking about with the lawsuit and stuff. I know Aquafina got sued, and I think like Evian or some other, because they were just bottling tap water, but
That
were
sounds
misleading
familiar.
people to think that it came from
That is
spring.
familiar,
or
but I
something.
thought New York City sued someone. Bottled
Might be
water is
here.
an interesting thing.
Yeah, it
Uh,
sure is. But yes, aside from our future endeavors to play Diablo and our wonderful discussions about bottled and tap water, I have just started playing The Outer Worlds this past
Ooh.
weekend. Yes, so we'll be talking more about that, but I would say like a couple quests in, and I feel like I've already played 6 or 7 hours because if I'm being honest, The Outer Worlds is Fallout in space, which is
It
fine.
is. Yeah.
I have zero problem with this. I love Fallout. I love space, and it's just run by what seems like terrible, terrible corporations, just like real life.
Exactly.
So,
I love the character creation too, because I've read, like, when it first came out, I remember reading or watching videos about them talking about like you can be the dumbest character, but because you're so dumb, you unlock different conversation options that like you
What?
can just kind of escape past things.
That's
Like
wonderful.
depending on how you
Awesome.
build your character. It's pretty cool. There's a lot you can do.
Well, I feel stupid now because I always build like a smart character that has intense charm and charisma and stuff like
You
that
need
for
to
games
like
like
hack
that.
everything.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love hacking everything and
And get
actually
all the
like
conversation trees and being able to manipulate people. Yeah.
that's my jam in those games. That's exactly what I do all the time. And I'm
Yeah.
almost like a little off put at like how the unlock system works because it keeps taking so many lockpicks to open things. I'm like, no, I used to just do this with one for 8 years straight. So it's getting I'm getting used to it. But I like it so far. I feel like it's still derivative of Fallout, but
Yeah.
again, I'm like, this is fine. I enjoy it, and as long as the story continues to grow, I'm perfectly fine with it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm glad you're enjoying it. We'll talk more when you get into it.
Yeah. Have you beaten it?
No, not yet. That was one where like a bunch of stuff that like I really wanted to play The Outer Worlds, but other things came out, like the walking simulator that you love so much, and I just kind of got hooked on that. So
Wait, is that? Oh yeah.
Death
I was
Stranding.
like,
Are you talking about
what-
Daisy?
What game is that? Yeah.
Wolves.
No, Death Stranding, or
Yeah.
the walking simulator / QWOP made by a AAA studio.
He apparently was I think had another big project that he was working on that was recently canceled.
Yeah, I was reading about that.
Yeah.
But like, how is it canceled if you own the studio?
Funding
The
maybe?
publisher, probably.
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, it just seems strange to me. I don't know. There were also rumors that Kojima Productions is going to be purchased by Sony, which I don't think ever came to fruition. Probably for the best when your first and only game under that project is Walking Simulator Death Stranding.
Hey now.
So I would wait for Kojima game number 2 and see what happens there.
Now I know how the Borderlands fans feel.
I'm sorry. I'm not really sorry.
No, you're fine.
But
I can take
before
it.
we
It's
jump
fine.
into,
I wasn't really sorry to begin with.
Before we jump into the topic of the week, our headline topic, if you will, I wanted to ask Pinto. Last week you mentioned the expansion for forget which game, Death by Daylight or Dawn by Daylight was the
Dead by Daylight?
Dead what?
Dead
Now
by Daylight.
is that what it's
Dead
called?
by
Now I'm
Daylight.
confused.
Sorry.
Something daylight, something dead.
Dead.
It is Dead by Daylight. Why does it
Dead
sound
by
wrong
Day-
to me?
Sorry. Dead by
Because you
Daylight.
didn't
not
say it
Dawn.
in a death metal growl. It's Dead by Daylight.
Did you end up getting the expansion? We were talking about that last week.
Nope,
You
because I
remember?
still haven't even played the game yet. And the thought of buying an expansion for a game I haven't played yet and have like no super motivation to play, like I'm sure I will get to it. But whether that's like next week or a year from now is the question.
Yeah.
Because I have a really bad habit of like I have to like
Buying
psych
things and
myself.
not playing them?
No, not even that, but like I have to psych myself up for a new game for whatever reason.
Oh yeah.
Like
too.
Megan, you bought me Horizon Zero Dawn for like Christmas or my birthday, and I'm pretty sure it wasn't last year. It was probably the year
It
before.
was a little while back.
Yeah, I still haven't played it, and I keep looking at it like I should play that game.
I should dive into this.
Yeah, I
really want
still
you to
have
play.
it.
I really want you to play 8 hours of that game so that we can talk about the most ridiculous thing, which is it's a spoiler.
Okay.
Kinda like I don't like you wouldn't believe me if I told you.
Okay.
I'm curious as to what you're talking about.
Do you want to like take your headphones off for like a minute and then I can just say it?
All right, I'm taking my headphones off. You can't see me, but the viewers will know.
All right.
Go.
I'll wave at you and you can come back. The Allmother is a door.
Oh.
I don't even think Pinto needed to walk away because I
That's
didn't.
fair.
You said it so fast. I was like, what? So I don't think you had to walk away.
It's no, they worship this thing called the Allmother, and the Allmother is a door.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's okay.
But like,
Yeah.
if you're playing the game and you just keep hearing Allmother all the time, it
Allmother.
sounds super significant.
Mm-hmm.
And then like 8 hours in, it's like it's a door, and you're like, oh.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's a big joke in this household. Like when
Sorry
we got to
for
that
the
part,
spoilers.
my wife and I would just look at each other and be like, "The Allmother's a door." Anyway, so anyway,
All right, we should wave him back.
we'll bring back in.
So it occurs to me that I edit these episodes, so I
Yeah.
hope I get to playing that game before I get to editing this episode. I've got like
Yeah,
a
you have
month
incentive.
probably.
I've
Yeah.
incentivized you to play the game.
Honestly, having listened to it, because I just didn't care and I don't have a PS4, so I won't play it. It was not. Like, it was surprising, if you will, but I don't even know what it means at this point, so whatever.
Well,
Anyway,
I'm gonna
play
have
the game.
yeah, I'm gonna have to get to it in the next 15 days because if I don't, I'm gonna be playing The Last of Us 2. So,
That is true.
all right.
Good point. All right, topic
Anyway,
time.
you'll get to that part. Before I get to the topic, there's also another game I've been playing that I want to talk about for just a couple minutes.
Yeah.
I started playing, and I'm probably already done playing, Cities Skylines.
Oh,
Ooh.
Well, that
um,
game never ends.
That's
you
the
know.
thing.
yeah.
How many
Uh,
hours did you
it's-
play?
Like 5,
Okay.
but it's
That's
the thing.
probably enough to build like a full city, right? Like a good,
Yeah.
pretty, like high density city. So
I mean, here's the thing. I could expand it forever, but why?
It's one of those,
only if you
it's
want
the-
to. Like, yeah,
It's like Planet Coaster or Roller Coaster Tycoon for the oldies kind of thing. It's where you could build everything over again, or you could start a new park, or you could keep expanding the park you're in forever.
or you could just play a different game.
or
Well,
you could just
so-
stop playing.
Here's I like these games, and I probably will play this game again. But simulation games like this always kind of have like a curve and then a flattening off.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, in Cities Skylines, which is basically SimCity for the modern era, it's exactly SimCity for the modern era. It's exactly what it is. You basically just start out, you zone things, you get different buildings and abilities to zone commercial, residential, industrial as you go along, different hospitals, metro stations. You can get airports.
Crematoriums.
Cemeteries.
Yes, crematoriums are important. They take up like no space, and the cemeteries are huge. You need the crematoriums. They're great.
Yep. I agree.
No, you're not
This
wrong.
is why
yeah.
I want to be cremated when I die.
I want to take up as little space as possible.
Viking
Exact-
funeral.
I do. I am all about a Viking funeral.
Yeah.
But basically, like once you reach the point that you've earned enough of these things, there's nothing left to earn. So the challenge kind of goes away, especially because you kind of reach like a peak horizon of your budget, which is kind of the same thing with, the Roller Coaster Tycoon games, where really, you're trying to find some sort of optimal configuration of rides and charging people to come into your park and stuff like that. Whereas in City Skylines, it's get people to move in and then get taxes based on the industries or zoning. So in order to build more stuff and keep going. So like eventually you get it to where you have a positive cash flow. And just to explain business to everyone listening, because business is what this podcast is all about, you can basically stop because you'll just keep getting like thousands of dollars a month. But I don't know if that's really the goal of running a city, is to just make thousands of dollars a month. It's really more to provide services to your city. It's a strange simulation to me at the end of the day, but it's fun. I had fun playing it. I built a prosperous city. I liked it. I will probably play it again. I'll probably try a different map, and I'll probably try to expand in new and different ways. But I really liked the way that it came out, and it's kind of fun to make like District 25 Tom Town or something like that. And
The problem with those kind of games is like you said with the plateauing, it's like there's a way to do it optimally, and then when you hit it optimized, kind of city, it's like, well, what's next? If I start tearing stuff down, I'm just going to reduce my income and not have as big of a city. But if you don't do that, then there's nothing else to do. What I wish they would come out with something like that is more, potential like political things occurring or something like, for example, someone is shot and it, causes people to protest, and you have to deal with protests, and you have to find ways to enact walls or something that, would help your town get back to normal or something. I wish that they expanded some of the disasters, if you will, not from the whole there's Godzilla here now, or there's an alien like ship or whatever coming into town. I know they do have all that. They have they have a disasters DLC.
Godzilla is real.
I wish they had situations like
Shin Godzilla,
corruption in your department, or maybe the chief of police has corruption or something. I think that would be a lot of fun. Maybe some kind of massive disaster, fire or something that your city can't control on its own.
I would get a lot of yucks out of throwing chiefs of police into jails or having public trials for corrupt politicians.
I just think that would be.
That's for another
I think
time.
that would add something to the game that would make it a little more enjoyable. Just because, like you said, once you hit a certain point, it's kind of like, what else to do? I know for me personally, I never was able to get traffic right in that game.
Oh
ever.
my god, traffic is so hard.
Traffic is the hardest part.
Traffic is very difficult in that game.
I didn't realize how hard it was until I had like an oil plant that wasn't getting fuel fast enough to keep up with like power production. And then I realized I had one road in and out of town, and it was on the opposite side of the one-way road coming into town. And I also didn't understand how to build like overpasses until the very end of the game.
Yeah.
That I was doing.
You gotta make that public transit, bro.
Well, no, like if you think about it, you can just make an overpass from your one-way road to just loop around and go to the other street.
Yeah.
So it was very easy to solve once I figured that out. So I don't know. Like I said, I will definitely play it again. I will definitely do another city. I will definitely try and do more with it. And I like it. And I think it's good. I know there's about 2 expansions for that, and I'm not ready to buy either of them at this point in time. But I would definitely recommend it if you're into a city sim, and I like it because it's one of those games you can just kind of mindlessly play for a little bit.
It's a very peaceful game.
It is.
You can just start and stop it whenever you feel like it. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, I just wanted to ramble about that as well, since that was a new experience for me. But anyway, now let's talk about something completely different. A topic that I have had in mind that's not really related to the current state of gaming or anything like that at all. More a previous state of gaming that I kind of miss a little bit. And I understand why it's gone the way it's gone, but I still miss it. So that topic that I would like to talk about is cheat codes and how they have disappeared from every game in the world, and why I used to enjoy them. And some of the memories, perhaps, that we have of using some cheats in different games.
Yeah.
So, for me, I would say the number one memory that sticks out in my brain is as a very little kid playing Wolfenstein 3D with my cousin on our grandfather's computer at the age of probably no more than 5, but I think we might have been younger than that, which is old enough to kill Hitler. I'm.
You're always old enough to kill Hitler.
I'm more than confident enough that you should always kill Nazis starting at a very young age. So we were playing the last boss, which is Robot Hitler. Just to spoil it for everybody, it's Hitler in this giant robot suit, and he's really tough because he's in a robot suit. But as soon as you blast him out of that robot suit, he dies real easy because he's Hitler. So my cousin was holding the spacebar to fire off the machine gun, which is the best gun in Wolfenstein. And I had the important task of pressing the 3 keys in Wolfenstein, which constantly refresh your health, ammo, and any other good things. But that was basically
you guys had a system.
Which is LIM. Yeah, we had a system, man. It was crucial. If you want to kill Robot Hitler, you can't just go it alone. You got to make sure you got the teamwork down. So he held the space bar, and I would hit LIM. You need to hit all 3 keys at the same time. So I would just keep kind of like hitting them from time to time. And, you know, you would kind of see Wolfenstein guy's face kind of like drain down with like the blood and beady uppy thing that he used to do. And then, bam, you get the LIM, and he'd go back up to 150% health, smiling and looking all fit and ready to kill Robot Hitlers. Until we blasted him out of the suit and then shot him mercilessly on the ground like the dog that he is. So that is a fond memory of mine that I will never let go, because I said, always kill Robot Hitler, or any Hitler in general.
I like how you crossed your arms after that. Like, that's just how it goes. All right.
Stay in school, kids.
So I can actually jump in too. That it's not happening as much anymore, but I actually played a game where the cheat codes were essential for the purposes of the editor. So I've mentioned, I think once in the past, one of my favorite games of all time is a game called Cossacks. It was based on about the steppes of Russia, Ukraine kind of area. And then, the game expands into all of 17th and 18th century Europe. And in the editor, you couldn't give yourself more money without using the money cheat. So you would basically establish how much money you needed, to build all the various units. The editor worked very strangely. It wasn't just, you could place a unit, but the unit instantly would start costing food, because every unit in that game cost a food count. So like, I remember wanting to build massive maps because the game was all about battling, like big war simulations, basically. Similar to like a Shogun or, one of those kind of Total War kind of games. So you would have to like put, tons of money into the game, or put tons of cheat codes for money into the game, so you have enough food so you could build all the units, clear all that stuff out, modify the terrain, and then you're like actually ready to save that and upload your map on the internets for people to play. So that game, the third version of that game came out a couple of years ago. That game requires cheat codes, or you cannot use the editor effectively.
That's interesting. And actually, I think along the lines of that, crossing into talking about simulation games earlier, I would also think of The Sims, because I don't know if I ever met anyone that's played a game of The Sims without using the cheat codes.
I have,
and
it's a little bit boring. So
I mean, well, I think it's just called life at that point. You're just like, why am I living through the drudgery of my regular existence?
You always want to start. You want to type in Rosebud, because that was the cheat code, and that gave everyone knows that gave you the money so you could build the big house right away.
That was the fun of that game. Like you said, you need the cheat codes to have more money to build the maps out in Cossacks. I think in The Sims, you want to have the money to build out the house, or the money to outfit the house as you needed to actually enjoy the game.
Well, like if you wanted to, like, so in a lot of the Sims games, I think even back in the original, but definitely by like the Sims 2 or so, you could like visit other people's houses, and like your character would like go to other people's houses. So if you wanted to make like the rich billionaire in the neighborhood or whatever, you needed to use those cheat codes so you could have the guy be rich, or you're playing like 200 hours trying to get him to be the rich guy. So it was essential in a lot of ways to have that.
Definitely agree. And who wants to live in like the studio apartment in The Sims? No one wants to do that. You want to build the mansion. You want to design it from the ground up.
Well, yeah,
The Sims is really just an architecture simulator.
Well, first off, you're living vicariously through your sim, but second, the building music and shopping music in that game were great. At least in the original. I don't really recall.
They're still good. They're still very good. They're the best. The building one, it was by far the best. And shopping was pretty good too.
Yeah. I know that for me personally, and maybe I'm just making this connection in my head now, it's why I'm not good at StarCraft. I totally cheated to get through the StarCraft campaigns. StarCraft 1 and Brood War. Man, What is it?
Ah.
Operation Seawall makes your upgrades complete like that. Black Sheep Wall gets rid of all the fog of war. There is no cow level, just makes you win the level automatically. That game's hard. It's
You know what I
really
find
hard.
interesting though about all three of us at this point? Remember, and I think Megan nodded her head on the Sims one. We all remember the cheat codes.
Oh
Like
yeah.
we
yeah.
remember that Rosebud in the Sims gives you like
Mhm.
$50,000. We remember, these other ones from other games like StarCraft.
Grand
It's
Theft Auto 3,
fascinating to me.
R2, R2,
Yeah.
L1, R2, left down, right up gives you all the weapons.
Yep.
My fingers. I was gonna bring that up later too. My fingers remember the motions.
It's muscle memory more than like real memory. But yeah, that's my other memory is like you, Fleming, you, Tom, me, and our other friend Alex would spend hours just playing Grand Theft Auto 4, entering cheats in, and being terrible people. But it was a lot of fun. We'd like spawn in helicopters and fly to Liberty Island and spawn cars in and just drive around because you weren't supposed to have cars there.
And cheat codes also sometimes added an interesting dynamic. So I remember I was pretty young when I think we were like 12, 13 when GTA 3 came out.
Probably.
Somewhere around that.
Yeah.
Around
My
there.
older brother suggested to me because one of the cheat codes in that game was basically to make chaos occur where everybody has guns and everybody fights each
I actually
other.
have a story about that, but yeah, keep going.
He was like, I've read on the internet, or he heard from his friends, one of the best ways to play GTA 3 after you've beaten it is to turn on that cheat and turn on the all guns cheat. So basically all the time, there's a massive war going on.
That's my story.
It's
a challenging way to play the game when the entire city is rioting and everyone has like flamethrowers and rocket launchers, and you're like, I'm just trying to drive my friend to the car shop.
So you're trying to drive your friend to the car shop and then you get rocket launched.
Yeah, we actually did that for a little while, Megan. I kind of want to do that again. Like, that might be a good idea to revive that and just do that for YouTube.
Try to play it.
Was
play Vice City?
No, it was 3.
It was the original.
Yeah, it was Grand Theft Auto 3. I called it like the riot run, where you just try to complete the game while the entirety of Liberty City is rioting.
Just make sure you give them all guns and you make them all riot, and it's the funniest thing. It's so hard to complete.
And you can add the code that like increases gore, that like makes their limbs fly off and stuff.
Oh God. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would totally play that again. That's such a fun experience.
Megan.
Wow.
So,
do you have any?
Guys think, oh, go ahead, Megan. Do you have any?
What? Duke Nukem.
I have never played a Duke Nukem game.
Yeah, Duke Nukem 64. I used to play that all the time with my one friend. And The Sims, of course. Rosebud. Absolutely. Get all of the money, all of the time, all of the fun.
Do you remember, like, with Rosebud, you had to, like, have an exclamation point for every increment of money you wanted and, like, a semicolon after it or something, too?
Or the Game Shark. Remember Game Shark?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a Game Genie for my Super Nintendo.
Ooh.
Wow. I had a Game Genie for my original Game Boy back in 1995.
Game Boy had Game Genie?
Yeah, it was about as big as the Game Boy itself.
You like plugged it in, right? And then
I didn't even know that.
You put it in like a cartridge, and then you put the Game Boy cartridge into the Game Genie in a slot in the top. And it was a format that Game Shark adopted, because I think Game Genie eventually evolved into Game Shark, because the Game Boy games had stuff like that later on with those too. Which I'm kind of sad that Game Shark isn't around anymore, because I think the security's too good on games now. I don't think it's possible to do what Game Shark used to do. Right. I might be wrong, but like Game Shark was basically just hacking your game.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's why people like PC games so much more. Is you can just get like console commands and just spawn in whatever you want and all that stuff.
Well, things are like there's certain levels of encryption to like PlayStation games that you don't necessarily have with a PC thing. It's easier to get distributions of third-party cheats or modifications.
It's also easier to get into and manipulate the code of a PC game versus a PlayStation game.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, you guys probably remember using like Game Shark editors, right? Where you had to like have I remember from my Game Genie, it came with a little book of cheats. It
Yep.
was about 2 inches thick, and the print was probably a size 0.4 font. And it would give you the hexadecimal codes that you had to enter from the Game Genie screen in series. And it was normally a full, like, for those who are not technically savvy, like full bytes of hex code. So normally it would come in sequences of like 16. And it meant nothing if you didn't know that that's what it was going to do. So one of the fun things you could, of course, do is just type in nonsense and see what would happen, if anything. And if your game would start or not, or if your saves would be there when you were done or not. But one of my all-time favorite Game Shark things that I found, if you use a EPSXE emulator, it has Game Shark functionality built into it. And if you play Final Fantasy Tactics, people have found so many exploitable Game Shark codes that you can change absolutely everything. You can make the available job skills for different characters into job skills from unaccessible enemy classes. My favorite thing to do was to transform the generally not so good teleport skill from the Time Mage class into Teleport 2, which is a skill that a lot of enemy monsters have.
And always succeeds. Heck yeah.
And lets you go anywhere on the map.
That's interesting because that game was already super exploitable and had so many like bugs and just things you could do even without Game Shark.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you guys I don't know if you guys remember, but in the Game Shark was also used to get Mew, I believe, in you know, Pokemon. And I remember that my local Toys R Us, may it rest in peace, though it is coming back. They held a contest. I forget exactly what you had to do, but there was a contest where like you could get a Mew. And I bet you if I went and found my Pokemon Blue, which I'm still sure is somewhere, I have Mew in that game. And it was because of a Best Buy employee who was like, all right, here's another Mew that I had to create and put it on this guy, trade it to this guy so he can get it. But that's one of my fondest memories of games and cheat codes. And he was like, tell me how he does it to get one, and then how he manipulates the code to give me one. It was cool.
That's Pokemon's again, that's another game that like has a lot of exploitable glitches that people have figured out over the years, like missing number and all the item replication, all the weird glitch Pokemon that you can get, that most of them will cause your game to crash, honestly.
Yeah.
But it's still really cool, like, to mess around with that type of thing.
Well, people have spent so much time looking at that code that they have done speed runs. I may have even mentioned it. There's now a speed run where the guy does it in like, I think it's like an hour, let's just say.
Wow.
Something like an hour. And that's because it's like, if you move right a couple times and then you go back left and then you go up and down and you like start to basically edit the code. He's like, if you start to use the potion but you tell it no, it was like all kinds of crazy stuff that you had to do. But you can basically manipulate it so much. There's like, and now I have a Moltres, ta-da! And like all the audience members are like, and you're just like, okay.
Yeah, man, you do you.
It was really fascinating because the guy was obviously very geeky and he kind of was trying to explain the code, but he's like, at one point he's like, all right, if I mess up right here, it's gonna crash, so give me a second. And like he does a couple of things and then he finally explains it when he catches, I forget what Pokemon it was like a Bulbasaur or something. It was really funny how he did all that.
That's one of the things I actually really liked about the idea of like, not exploiting the game code, but using something like a Game Shark in that situation, because with Pokemon, like, you basically get half a game worth of Pokemon monsters. And, it's supposedly to encourage you to trade with other people. But let's be honest, when you had a Game Boy and you were like 12 years old, no one had that cable that connected to another Game Boy so that you
did. I had the cable, but I also had multiple brothers and a sister, and we all wanted to play, so we had multiple Game Boys and the cable and everything.
Do you remember how unreliable that cable was?
Cable
I've definitely used.
It's like if you unplugged if you turned off your Game Boy after the Pokemon was out, but then like they didn't, like something happened with theirs. I forget all the details, but basically like you could lose Pokemon or you could duplicate Pokemon doing that. It was crazy the kind of things that you could do with it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was like another exploit though. Was like the
Yep.
duplicating Pokemon thing.
I had that cable though. It
Oh
was-
yeah, I had a couple friends that
I
had
feel
the
bad
cable,
for
and
my
I went to a
parents.
daycare with it.
They spent a lot of money on that. So let me ask you
But-
guys, why
but-
do you think? But what?
I just wanted to say, like with Pokemon, having the Game Shark enabled you to kind of bypass that, so that you could change like whatever you were going to battle next into, say, a Bulbasaur, which if you started with one of the other two starters, you had no chance to catch unless you traded with somebody, and nobody
who's-
gives up
yeah,
their starter.
No one's gonna
No.
trade their starter. Like,
Yeah.
Well, what we did typically is what we would like boot up one of them, and it's like, okay, you're gonna start the game, and you're gonna get all of the Pokemon for us, and then trade them over to us, and then we'll trade them back to you, and then one of us will level it up to the next thing, like the War Turtle or whatever, and then trade it back. So like we basically made sure we all had it at some point. But it was really weird that they made you do that.
For the entry, I thought you meant for a minute that you had like one brother who was designated to just like turn it on, send it to somebody else, and start a new
start
game,
over.
and just keep
Never got to
doing
play an
that.
actual
he
game.
never
I
got
mean, we-
past Brock. It's like, I wish I could play the game.
when my older siblings and my younger started to kind of go off of the game, I actually did do that because I had both our red and blue to do it at that point. Though I'm sad to say I never quite got to 151 Pokemon in my blue version.
Ugh.
Oh well.
I got to 100 and I believe 49, if you count Mew. 149. I'm missing the Taurus and I'm missing the Kangaskhan, I believe it is. I think those two.
Unacceptable.
The Safari Zone.
Safari
ones.
Zone.
It's
Yeah.
Are you even a
unacceptable.
Pokemaster?
I am not a Pokemaster. I did not gotta catch them all.
Certification denied.
I have the Pokemon To Be a Master CD
Ooh.
with the song To Be a Master and Viridian City and other.
I'm on the road to Viridian City.
Yep, that one.
Hope you enjoy
So
that podcast.
why do you enjoy that podcast? So why do you guys think that games, and like we've talked about the PS4 a little bit and like console games, why they're a little locked down, but like why, like City Skylines, for example, I don't think that has cheat codes. I may be wrong about that, but I don't think it does.
I'm not aware. I haven't checked. I'll do a quick Googling right now.
But I'm
'cause
wondering why like new games are not having cheat codes as much anymore.
I bet there are games that still do. Like, I would be amazed. I don't own it, but if I bought the new Mortal Kombat game, I bet that game still has cheat codes. That's the kind of game that I feel like will never not have cheat codes because it's been part of it for so long. But like, yeah, I don't. Does GTA 5 have cheat codes?
I don't know.
I don't.
I know 4 did. 'Cause
Yeah,
you could
they
pull
were
them
the
on
cell phone. Yeah.
Right. You know what? Bringing up Mortal Kombat just reminded me, like the older Super Smash Brothers games used to have a code where you could just put it in and you would unlock like everybody.
Yeah.
So that like if you had your friends over and you had just started the game, you could have the most fun and you didn't have to wait like 40 hours to beat everything. Whereas now, like I probably have like a third of the available like Super Smash Brothers characters in my game. I'm sorry, dedicated Super Smash Brothers players.
So
But,
GTA 5 does have cheat codes.
Yeah, they
I
do.
just
Oh,
looked
I've
it
just
up.
never
Cool.
used them.
Yeah.
Me either.
Is it like an age thing maybe then? Like since
Maybe.
we're all like when we were little kids, obviously, it was like I can't beat StarCraft. I want to get past this level.
Bro, I
so-
would still cheat
you
in
know.
StarCraft.
Me too.
I have gone back to play. I'm like, you know what? This is the time. I'm 30 years old. I still can't beat like some of those
Not
levels.
ashamed.
I'm like, oh god, because I'm so used to StarCraft 2, where
It
like,
is
oh yeah, I could
hard.
totally do it in StarCraft 2, but Brood War, god, that game's hard.
It was
The
it
Sims
was
4
hard.
So-
still uses cheat codes. Rosebud and Motherload.
Yeah, I swear you could not have a Sims game without cheat
Without it.
codes.
Yeah.
And interestingly, I did search for if there are cheats in City Skylines, and I think this moves on to another kind of subtopic of this. It doesn't have cheats, but it has
But-
unlockable modifications. So
Yes.
if you get through a couple achievements, then it allows you to play with infinite money or I forget what the other one was. Progression milestones are always unlocked, so you don't have to work on building your city up before you can put down a hospital, stuff like that.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of games have switched to that modification option. Like even I'm a big fan of like the Lego games. And when you unlock certain things, you can get like, you know, whatever the equivalent of money is times whatever. So like it's just a simpler way.
Yeah, it's more of a reward system at that point.
Yeah.
Which I'm okay with. I get that. Isn't there just to me though? There's just something cool about having almost like secret or like forbidden knowledge of the game, where you can hit up and down and left and right and A/B and start and select a number of times, then all of a sudden have infinite men's.
Yeah.
But is that like maybe what it was? Like we were kids and it's this super secret cool thing that not everybody knows about, and now we're adults that have been playing games for years, and it's
I think the internet also helps with that, since information moves so fast now. There's no secret, trying to find this code.
That's very true.
The only people that know about it are the people that bought the guide or whatever. I mean, Tom actually had we had an episode where we talked about game guides. Like no one has that stuff anymore. So like now it's one of those that like, you put out a game and within 5 seconds, everyone's like, here's the cheats. And then everybody would cheat to get to the end of the story. And then they would post, oh my God, this person dies. Can you believe it? And it's like, well, you just kind of ruined the game because you cheated to get there in an hour. And now you're spoiling it for me. So like, I think that also the fact that information moves quickly may have also kind of messed with people. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure why.
I wonder also if just kind of the change in the way games work kind of fueled it. So for example, the Grand Theft Auto 3 up to San Andreas era, even maybe to 4, was kind of straddling the difference between earlier games where it was more purely focused on the gameplay, and we really had platformers and side scrollers, and you didn't really have cheat codes in like Final Fantasy games.
Right.
You might have Easter eggs, but we're in an era, kind of in the Grand Theft Auto 5 onward, maybe even before this, where story came into enough of a focus where it became less of like, hey, cheats will change your gameplay experience, which will give you a different way to play, which will either like put you over the top and make it accessible, or more fun because it's easy, or more crazy because you're on riot mode or something like that. And now it's more like you're defeating the purpose of the game with cheats. I don't know.
Like The Last of Us, you wouldn't want there to be cheat codes, that make it
for ammo.
Well,
infinite ammo in The Last of Us.
Tame all canines, please and thank you.
Oh my gosh, that should definitely be a cheat in that game.
Yeah.
I endorse that.
It'd be totally fun and interesting. I think the other thing too is those kind of things, like it's just not worth their time to develop those kind of things either.
No.
Like I bet you if you ask someone why they made all civilians able to riot in GTA 3 was probably because they built some code to make certain people have some kind of incident occur in the gameplay. So because of that, the cheat code is effectively there. So they just had to plug in what they wanted that 1 and 0 change be. They just made it. So that's probably why a lot of cheat codes kind of came out. It's just like, well, we've already had to do that when we were doing something in our code. So let's just give it to the the people that are going to play.
I think the Konami code is famously was created by a debugger because they couldn't get through the levels.
Contra, anyone?
Yeah. Interestingly, while you were saying that, I also just had the thought, with the achievement-based kind of cheats, I think the origin of that, if I'm giving it consideration, is probably Metal Gear Solid, where you really kind of had like play through this way, get this item. So for example, if you save Meryl, you get the bandana, which gives you infinite ammo. And if you didn't save Meryl, you would get the stealth gear, which would let you just sneak by people.
Yeah.
So, and that was fun. I really liked that. Even though it wasn't a cheat code, I really liked that you would get those items, and it really changed your experience playing the game.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, especially because now, depending on what the game is, once I play through it, I don't really want to do it again sometimes. Like I think about certain
Usually.
get again, but if you had something that would make it easier, a reward system at the end, yeah, for
Yeah, I like the current, like, beat the game and then all of a sudden, like, hey, here's these things. I don't know. I kind of agree with both points, like what you were saying, Megan, where, like, I kind of don't want to play the game again. But
yeah,
at the same time, it's like, a game like, the Resident Evil 2 and 3 remakes. It's like, once you beat the game, they're like, hey, you can play through the game and here's some different stuff you can have.
yeah,
But it doesn't,
Well,
like, the game's still the same, but it's like, here's a different weapon you can have when you go through the game. You can try that out.
right.
Well, it's funny because replay value used to be one of the biggest selling points for games.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that is true.
Especially, like Metal Gear, you can replay with the bandana or stealth gear. All these other games you can replay a different way, try and do something different. But I mean, even games I've played like Detroit Become Human or, Heavy Rain, the Quantic Dream games.
hmm
Generally, when I play through, I get an ending, and normally it's a pretty good ending because I kind of know how to play those games.
And you don't
Yeah.
want to see the terrible ending where everyone dies and everything is terrible. I
Yeah.
understand that.
I don't need
I-
that on my conscience.
I
Like,
don't feel incentive. The one thing I will say is I replayed until I got Kira across the river. Okay,
I still haven't done
Uh,
that.
it took me like 20 times.
Like,
I had
Megan,
to look
how-
up where the right option was.
Weren't you trying to play Until Dawn where you got everyone killed?
I was
Oh,
trying to
God.
play, yeah, Until Dawn, where I got everyone killed and then all of the men killed. I have everything, but I think those two. Well, no, because there's an option like all of the men and all of the women, and I was able to do. I got like all of the women. I was trying to go through all the different ways, but I haven't completed it, and I kind of put it away for now.
It takes so long to get that one girl killed. What's her name?
Yeah.
You-
Hated Panettiere or
No,
whatever.
no, not her, not Sam.
Oh, she can die at the end super
Ugh.
easy.
Yeah.
I'm not stereotyping, but it's the only way to describe her. The Asian girl. You have to try so
Well-
hard to get her
Oh,
killed.
what's her-
Yeah, and certain characters can only die at certain points.
Yeah,
Right.
Like
Billy,
if you miss
Billy,
that
right?
opportunity, that's it.
Wasn't Billy one of them? I think that his name Billy. He could only die at one point.
You might be thinking of Chris, who looked like Billy from the Power Rangers.
Yeah.
See, I was thinking Jason. Or no, which one is
No,
he?
I'm
The
thinking.
blonde
I'm
or the-
thinking of
Chris
I'm
is the
thinking
guy
of
with
blonde one that
glasses.
walks outside the
Okay.
house. When he walks outside the house, he gets killed. If he does, that's only I think the only time you can kill him.
Oh,
'Cause
yeah,
the
yeah.
one girl can lock him out.
Yeah.
No, he can die
That's-
later on too. I've
He
had
can
it
die later
happen.
on.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? Well.
Oh, jeez.
Oh well. I only watched playthroughs of that because it was I think PS4, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
That game was really good.
It was
Wow.
very good.
Yeah.
That was a really good game.
They put out they're doing a new anthology series now, which is pretty cool. The first one, it's the Dark something anthology. I don't know, but
With
the
that
first
Man
one was
of
Man
Medan.
of Medan.
Medan or
Medan, yeah.
Medine or whatever it's called.
They have
yeah.
another one coming out, I think, over the summer.
The Dark Banana Man?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
Everyone's favorite, urban legend.
The Dark Banana Man. He comes for you in your sleep to bring you potassium.
They're dark bananas, though. They're only good for banana bread.
They're too ripe for regular human consumption. Oh gosh. But yeah, I do still have this part of me that misses cheat codes. And even I think some of the ways that it exists in modern society. Maybe it's a nostalgia thing. Maybe it's maybe it really is a thing where it's just not out there as much. And maybe
Yeah.
I'd like to go to a developer and say, "Hey, man, you gave that guy
Throw some
infinite
cheat codes
lives."
in there.
Yeah, I
Keep
feel
it,
like
guys.
I feel like it isn't out there as much, and it's because I don't. This is kind of a generalization, but a lot of people just like plow through games super quickly.
Yeah.
A lot of
Yeah.
people be like, "Yeah, I beat that game in 2 hours," and it's like, bro, you
But
spent.
did you enjoy it?
Did you enjoy it? You spent $60 on it, and now you're gonna complain that you didn't get your money's worth. But like, it, journey before destination, man. Like, play the game and explore. You don't want to beat it as fast as possible, do you?
Some people do.
And
some
but
people
like
wanna
that's
do
the
that.
thing. Like with cheat codes, it would make that even easier, and because the knowledge would get out there so quickly, like as soon as a game comes out, someone's already starting a walkthrough. You can go
Oh,
on
yeah.
GameFAQs. It's like, oh, I got this far, and it's like half the game, and you're like, the game came out at midnight. It's 4 a.m. What
Huh?
or
He's
what is
writing
your
it and
life?
playing it. Yeah.
I think some of it though is like what makes you have fun with the game.
Yeah,
And if it'll make it a different or more replayable experience for you, then if one guy beats it in 2 hours because he turned on cheats, meh, I don't really care.
it
As
just
long as it's fun for me.
it just yeah, it just makes me sad for that person, I guess. That it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't seem fun to me personally. Like I said in my strategy guide episode, like I would play the game on my own and then play through it again with the strategy guide to do all the stuff that I missed.
That's about where I'm at with games that are excuse me, like that too. I I know friends who like to play through and kind of like use every exploit in the book and see how much they can break the game and jack up the damage on certain things. And excuse me,
Gotcha,
I'd
got
rather just
H2O.
kind of beat it with what I can. Yeah, I do need some H2O. Too much rain, not enough actual water.
I'm gonna chalk it up to developer laziness, personally.
Slam
No.
them devs.
No, I think it probably has something to do, I would imagine, with the idea of story. That's probably where I fall.
I think that's
You know,
fair.
it's
Yeah.
probably mostly to do with story, the idea of manipulating a game. Like if you take something like Last of Us, if you take something like Final Fantasy VII Remake, it just doesn't make sense to have cheats there, Easter eggs, or like glitches and exploits or something. That's kind of cool, for people to show, but like most of the time that's someone never the intention of a developer to have.
Mhm.
Yeah,
The Easter eggs maybe.
Yeah.
But
they want you to experience their game. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
and like,
And can you fault them? Those games
Yeah.
cost millions and take
Oh yeah.
hundreds
So
of
much
thousands
time,
of
effort.
man hours. Yeah.
Yeah.
like it's such a shame when you think about like, you know, I mentioned on whatever episode that like I don't really like Final Fantasy 13 as a game, but at the same because it's very like hallway oriented. It's like point A to
Yeah.
point B, very little exploration. But at the same time, it's like when I'm going through those areas, I want to look around and be like, man, someone's whole job was to design this hallway. And
Yep.
I'm just gonna blast through it in 10 seconds, not think about it,
Mhm.
not look at it. Like that sucks. Like I want to look at it and be like, man, even though I don't really like this game, a lot of work was put into it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Definitely. It'd be awesome at some point if we could get an actual game developer on here, someone who actually worked on a game like that. Maybe, a year down the road or something. With
Yeah.
enough listeners and enough popularity, we can get someone like that on. That'd be so much fun to, poke their minds on serious game development and what they've had to go through and just how detailed games are. Like you said, that like some guy's job probably was to design like all the hallways or all of certain places, and that's what they did for the game. That was their contribution.
Yeah.
I actually recently have been watching Brianna White, who is
Whoa.
sorry if anybody
I saw
can hear
that one.
Ooh. You saw that one too? Okay.
Yeah.
YouTube fans. Ooh, we're getting some lightning here. She was the voice actress for Aerith in Final Fantasy VII Remake. She has a YouTube channel. I've been watching her playthrough of it a little bit, not the whole thing, just some of the cut that she has from her Twitch channel. And like she saw Aerith for the first time, in the church. She started crying. She's like, "That was me. That's
Aw.
all I did for the game was just that voice right there." And she was like so proud of her work. So I'm sure that developers that have played their game are like, "That's sorry to be, but that's my hallway. That's my
Yeah.
church." I mean, every one of
sure.
them doing stuff like that. So if cheat codes are going to ruin it for them, someone's going to just run right through that. It's like, well, that's unfortunate. So
Yeah.
maybe that's partially why too, because games, like Tom said, have become much more story driven.
They're more like movies, and no
Yeah.
director wants you to sleep through the first act of their movie.
Yeah.
Yep. Definitely.
Cool. Any other thoughts on the topic from anybody out there?
I just hope that if our listeners have any great games with great cheat codes, they post them in our various comments and
Yeah.
let us know. I love cheat
Post
codes.
your biggest Sims mansion and how many Rosebuds you had to use to build it.
I'm going to try and beat StarCraft without cheats again now.
Word war.
Okay.
That's a good goal, my
I'm
friend.
going to try. The
If
key
you
word
want,
is
we can
try.
if you want, we can do the co-op version of that. There's actually even a 4-player co-op version
What?
of StarCraft.
Of Brood War?
What?
Yeah, of StarCraft. It's on StarCraft 2 of the originals, if I remember right.
Unacceptable.
I will find it. Or maybe it's not. Maybe it is the StarCraft 2 games. I don't remember for sure. But whatever it is, it's like you can play up to like 4 people. Play through the campaigns. It's pretty cool.
We should do that.
So,
That
I will
would
find
actually be fun.
And then we
Yeah.
can record it, and we can switch back and forth between our point of view, where you're at 300 APM and I'm at like 60.
God.
And I'm at
Sounds-
10 with a little
Sounds
man
great.
running around Civic Center holding a clipboard because he's dropped his machine gun.
Or
He's
I
trying
thought,
desperately
I thought
to
you were gonna make tribute to our good friend Randy, whose last name I won't say, who would just build cities. The
With
Randy
patrolling
cities.
Yes,
A salute to
City.
Randy. Hand on
Randy,
heart.
if you're out there and you somehow find this podcast, we remember.
We'll never forget.
We enjoyed your dedication to civic engagement, my
That's
friend.
that's right.
All right. Well, thank you all for this lively discussion on one of my favorite topics. I'm sure it's not the last time we'll talk about it, but we're going to end the episode here for now. Thanks again. Thank you all for listening. If you would like to interact with us, we are active on all social media platforms at JoyPad Pod, and you can follow us on Anchor FM. I believe it's JoyPad Pod on Anchor FM as well, as all podcast distribution channels, Spotify, Apple, etc. So thank you again. We love you all. Stay joyful, my friend.
There it is.
There it is. Bye.
Bye.